we look back from where we started from, I think it's mostly the nearest thing we could reach is like you guys, and also to create what FS is in India to actually inspire a lot of people. And I think you've done a great job when it comes to contributing to FS in India to see in a big picture. So yeah, I've been a very respectful host, and I did not stalk you enough and knowing what you guys are actually doing. So we'll do the boring way. Why don't you just tell us what you guys are doing at this point in time, where you are?
Yeah, we'll go alphabetically. Ajay.
Okay. Okay. I guess you know my name, Ajay Kumar. Currently, I'm working in Bajaj. And then I did my MTech, see, mechanical engineering in IIT Madras. Yo, living with these MTech people, I also got confused now.
This does not get edited out.
Yeah, no.
Go ahead.
You like people whoever I meet here, everyone has completed MTech now. So for me also
Oh,
it's coming
okay. Oh,
casually.
okay. That explains a lot. Yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Mm. And then I joined Raftar during my first year. I was in aerodynamic subsystem. At least I got that correct right now. Then yeah, second year also I was in aerodynamics, and then like third year, the final year in Raftar, I was the chassis lead.
And what are you doing right now?
Right now I'm working in Bajaj. I'm in powertrain, and I take care of engines of commuter segments.
Yeah. So I'm doing a master's in mechanical engineering in Purdue University in the US.
Hey, drum rolls.
And so all of us were in the team from 2019 to 22, and I joined the team in engines and peripherals in powertrain. And then when we moved on to becoming electric, I worked on the battery part.
And Karthikeyan.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I'm Karthikeyan. I am from the electrical engineering 18 batch. So and I joined Raftar I think in 2019. Yeah. I remember correctly, it was 2019. I joined as a data acquisition engineer, and then like Bharat mentioned, as we transitioned into an electric powertrain, I led uh, the powertrain part of Raftar in my final year, and then like Ajay mentioned, we were kicked out the year after. I am currently working in Texas Instruments as an embedded software engineer.
Yeah. So I mean, when I joined, like I didn't even like I was totally in online phase when the applications rolled out, and the only thing that echoed from the name Raftar Formula Racing was how fancy it is, how it's like a bunch of the most motivated people doing all cool stuff, and they're extremely smart. And that's literally how I just blindly joined in. Bro, there's a guy who's like awesome. He has Texas Instruments. You get your placements and all sorted, and all these fancy stuff, and it's mostly because of the work that you guys did. So, what was the reason you guys joined Raftar? What was in your head?
Go on, Bharat.
Yeah. So I think there was a orientation in SAT with all the C5 teams. At that time, I think Raftar was the one which stood out the most out of all the teams. And then I actually had Priyadarshan, who was my school senior, and he was part of vehicle dynamics. So he too had put fun days for Raftar, and then there was race one too. And so that is how we actually got to know about Raftar a lot. I knew a little bit about Raftar even before coming to IITM, but not that closely. I mean, we didn't exactly know which competitions they took part in or how they operated and all those things. But we had a brief idea, and then once we came in and once we saw all the C5 teams working, and uh, uh, we when we saw all the C5 teams first, and Raftar felt like the obvious choice. And there was another C5 orientation too. That time, I think I spoke very briefly with Harish. He was the captain at that time. I think, or he was an alumni. I'm not sure. Yeah, he was a senior, so he spoke really well too. And then the Raftar C5 orientation in Raftar, not C5 orientation, Raftar's orientation in CLT also was really really good. So that was like motivating enough to just put all the fight required for the applications.
Yeah, and about myself, I think it is very similar to your story, Chaitanya's story. I think the word of mouth when I joined, no. Yeah, it is very similar actually. The word of mouth when we joined Insti was that Raftar was one of the the go-to teams for students in IT Madras especially. And in specific, specific to my case, right? There is also another friend of ours called Sriharan. He was also a part of Raftar. He was actually sponsor lead. I think, yeah, in our core year. So he was the one who kind of introduced me to Raftar. Like he had a senior who was a part of Raftar, so he knew something about Raftar already. So when we were kind of deciding on what exactly to do, like, so there are a lot of these PORs coming up, right? And like C5 was also considered a POR in one sense as a first year. So when we were kind of discussing as to what we have to do, this was one of the main things that we kind of spoke about, me with Sriharan. And the things that he knew from his senior and the things that we discussed kind of solidified the fact that Raftar was one of the go-to teams. Like for you to kind of do something in C5, Raftar is the place to be in. That sort of a feeling kind of developed at the start, and then yeah, we just decided that we have to be a part of this team. And then the apps came out. Yeah, we went all in. Yeah, that is basically how we ended up in Raftar.
All in.
Yeah, no, but we actually had to go all in. I think, yeah. So there was this Kaveri reading room, right? I remember a couple of us, Vishnu, right, from DT, who joined with us. I remember putting a night out with him to complete the app, but that I remember that very vividly. So we actually had to go all in for the app, but then yeah, the word of the mouth at that point was that this was the go-to team in C5, the best place to be in C5, and yeah, I mean, I think it was a no-brainer for us to kind of choose Raftar over the others.
For me, it was like a combination. Katyan, I don't know whether you remember or not. Like when this C5 orientation was happening, we had this hockey selection.
Hawkins,
It was such a funny story. Okay, something was going on. They told the C5 orientation has started, and then like Raftar was almost at the end. Like it was around 8:30 or something, and then our practices got over just by 8:30 or 8:45. I still remember it. Like we were like running like anything from the ground. We took the cycle, and midway, like when Raftar was presenting, we came inside. We came into the CFA orientation. Yeah, I still remember that. Yeah, and the orientation was so good. Okay, like it was not even like an orientation. It was just a conversation. It was so funny. It was put up in a very good way. Like at the time itself, I got interested. And before that, once when we were roaming outside in Insti, we saw their testing. So like I don't know, like at the time itself I got like mind boggled because like they were able to stop all the traffic and all. Like no one was allowed that side, and they had so much power. That is the only thing that I enjoyed. If they say stop, you have to stop. You don't have any other choice. So like it was very nice. Like that night, I actually saw the car running and all, and that was very good. That was the main motivation. And obviously, when the applications and all came, and I think if I have been with Karthikeyan R, I would have definitely got Arjit. Because at that time, yeah,
I would have gotten
this
Arjit.
was fight and all. Like the last day, like we were like crying, yo, please extend, please extend. We were mailing them, and yeah, we somehow completed the application. And then the interviews came. Oh, yo, in HR interview and all, I still remember. Yo, it was so fun. Actually, it was fun for the interviewer. For us, it was not funny.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I remember my HR interview also. Yeah,
Who is
Kakkani
your
was
HR?
there. Kakkani was there. I
Oh,
see.
For
It
me,
was actually.
Aditya was there.
Wait a second. For me, no, it was not even a HR. It was my second technical round. Kakkani just decided to turn that the whole thing into a HR interview.
Just because he was bored.
Yeah. Just because he was bored. So yeah,
So you had to prepare all the lies and all.
Uh,
How? Oh my god! So you were completely honest in your HR interviews. I guess you
yeah, yeah,
are
yeah, yeah,
living
yeah,
your
yeah.
best
yeah,
life.
hey,
That is
100%
honesty is the
honest.
best policy. That is the only policy for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the policy for this podcast also.
That
Uh,
actually, yeah, this pretty much says how much like doing the application and all gives so much of enthu about engineering itself. It's one thing that Raftar stood by is to keep the fire of engineering, and the entire of FS, what we represent is we have so much of fun while we are actually practicing the engineering principles that we have had on the card. So that's so awesome. But one thing that people and don't know much about is what is a life of a Raftar, like I mean sorry, FS student and just for people who are working for Formula student. What do you think? How was your day or your life at that time?
I know.
okay,
Yeah.
to be frank,
see,
so like yeah, from
there's no
outside,
life outside C5. There's no life or
uh,
social life outside C5. That's all. That is the life of FS student. In terms of life, there is no life.
Oh, like that.
Exactly.
Just like how your budget, in terms of money, there's no money.
Sorry, I ain't got no money. I'm not trying to be funny.
Pretty similar. Okay.
Exactly.
But did you like it to be something completely inside C5? Or I think you can differ as well. You would have done so many things outside it, like Karthikeyan as
Hey,
well.
yeah, so basically, right, life of an FS student. See, I think it is very subjective. I think it differs from one person to another. But the thing is, see,
honesty is the true policy.
yeah, honesty is do, but I'm just trying to kind of word it, clearly. So basically, see, one of the things is with our batch, right, it's kind of weird because I think the prime years of us being in Raftar kind of was during lockdown. So most of the time that we kind of actually spend researching on the electric powertrain, it was us doing it from home, and it was different. It was different. I think it was under very different circumstances. So I would probably say that it's kind of hard to kind of tell as to what it is. But from my experience in my first year, what Bharat told in one sense is true. At the end of the day, you have to be in C5, I think, during the nights because there's going to be testing and there's going to be things happening in C5. So even if you're kind of going to be doing something in the evening, for example, I was going for hockey practice in the evenings. I had to kind of get that done, go to mess, and quickly come to C5 immediately after because there was going to be something happening in C5 every single day. So maybe to put it in one word, I would say busy. I think life of an FS
Yeah.
student, I would say busy. I think that would be the word to kind of sum it up.
But it's definitely worth it for all that you
Yeah, yeah,
put in.
for sure.
And about when you asked about staying inside C5, it used to be so much fun. I mean, all of us used to have a lot of fun doing it. It was either in C5 or otherwise somewhere outside in Ikadatangal, Ambattur, or some place like that.
Ikad Tamil is the most funny part. Yo.
Yeah. And while we used to do testing in the night, most often than not, aero people used to sit and do layups. So Ajay can tell you about that. I think he
Uh,
again needs to be honest here.
Even I.
yeah. I'll be honest. Don't worry.
Oh, do you like layups?
Huh?
Doing all of
Layup,
did you
layup,
like layups?
layup is the only reason that I continued in Raftar. What are you saying, huh? Uh, See, yeah, whatever Karthikeyan said is completely true. Okay, like at least in the first year, it will be more like you are getting into the team, you are getting to know the team. So you can use all the fancy words, technical stuff, research, those stuff and all. But in the first year, it will be mostly like supporting your seniors. So when you are supporting them, obviously there will be a lot of work, and you will be not knowing like why you are doing this. Basically, you won't know the bigger picture. So at that time, maybe you won't be enjoying it. You would consider that you are too busy compared to your peers and all. But for me, the realization came when we went to the first competition. Like first competition, when we enter that scenario, when we enter that scene, we had so much respect. Like everyone was seeing us. We just had the Raftar t-shirt. Our car wasn't undocked also. On seeing the Raftar t-shirt, they were like, "Hey, Raftar team has come." They saw us with some sort of respect. So you won't get that anywhere. And once the competition got over, like I was like, as you said, like everything was worth it. All the labs, all the night outs, all the late night testings, wow, everything was worth it. Yeah, layups. That is like, yeah, very sad part for Arab people. Basically, frames and composites
And
also.
frames. Yes, even we do
Uh,
layups, guys.
yeah. Oh, but when we were there, like most of the layups were done by Arab people.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, few people will
Yeah,
come. And then, yeah, like initially it was very difficult, okay, like those late night outs and all. But once we got to know each other, like, and after that, like, it was full fun. Like, we will be just putting some random songs, we will be discussing about something, and then, yeah, it goes on.
FS has been a lifestyle. Like there's nothing much you
Hmm.
could choose from. You don't have too many choices of a distraction from whatever you are doing because there's a certain way that we have to do it. And I think what FS like whatever we learned in Raftar is to also deal with the grunt work. In my first year, like we all, as he said, we had to do the grunt work. It was hard, but we learned to. That's kind of a life skill that I guess we all ended up learning later on. That I mean, everybody can do the interesting design part, but to stay by and complete the get the things done, make sure the wiring is correct. All of these is something more valuable than maybe just joining an intern or a project. So maybe yeah, that's FS and the discipline. All of these things is what I could get from all of you as an FS lifestyle, what it should be and how much it should be encouraged in the entire of the country later. So now coming to the challenging part, you said going to the competition. So what was the most challenging thing that you had to face in Raftar and how did you combat it? Like what's the nice fun story? Maybe it's closer to the competition, I don't know. So I'm pretty sure you would have had all these last moment scary stories for all of us.
Okay, for us, like in RSA, always this ground clearance will be a big issue, okay? So, like, that particular year, we had a different under tray. It had a U shape at the end. So, like, it was not clearing the ground clearance. Like, the 35 rule was not satisfying. So, like, we were like, we don't know, like, what we should do and all. So, Jashwin, like, he was our senior. He didn't care about anything. He didn't care about the CF test. He literally didn't care about his health. He just went under the car. He just cut it off completely. And the CF test was just scattering everywhere. And after seeing that, I was like, "Yo, what is he doing?" He had like so much dedication or something. I won't use the word dedication, but yeah, like he just took the saw and then he just cut it off. That is one story I still remember because that CF test was still scattering everywhere.
Okay, ground
That is one
clearance
thing.
is not so nice. It's always the
Mm.
story. How about powertrain? How was I think it has a lot more TI issues than anyone else would have had. What were the challenges? How did you
Uh,
actually face them?
there were quite a few. I mean, unlike JC, the challenges with powertrain are always dynamic. They keep occurring irrespective of
Mm.
how prepared one is. For example, with aero, these are aero or VD or something like that. They are dynamic too. I mean, but once you are confident enough, you can just go in and then have some sort of confidence that okay, this will not go wrong or this mostly won't go wrong because it because we have been fine in testing so far, but with powertrain we are always uncertain. We never know when something will pop up, when some oil leak may show up, or when something wrong can happen, when some wire or some bots may stop functioning. So when that is happening, you always need to be on your toes. So that is something which we, particularly in powertrain, learned a lot from our seniors in our first competition. So we observed how calm they were, how prepared they were for anything to show up. Uh, I mean, if even if something small goes wrong, they kept their calm. They just discussed it amongst themselves, and then they. I mean, even in the middle of all the pressure of the competition and so much tension, plus the heat at Curry, you guys all know that it's incredibly tough and difficult to like hold your nerve there in the pits. But they somehow just faced all the challenges, and that was something which we learned. It was a huge takeaway, just being there. And to go into the specifics, if I go into the specifics of what went wrong, there's a huge list which we can make, but we still came out positive. So that is one thing. And to just put it into context, we joined the team in 2019. We participated in Formula Bharat 2020. That was the first year in our competition. So and that was on site in Curry. It was in combustion, and we were champions that year. And we were supposed to go to Formula Student in Germany the same year, and then that is when COVID happened, and we were supposed to go back.
Yeah, and then the next couple of years we kind of resorted to taking part in online competitions. So I think that is also another challenge, right? So I would say so. Yeah, go.
Exactly.
Continue.
No.
I was about to say this late night DR corrections and all,
Exactly.
last minute submissions.
Yeah.
So the whole team will be in the team meet.
And even before the competition, just when we went back in March, so we all of us, so Abhiram had come, he had told us that okay, we will start working on a preliminary electric vehicle design right now. And then the first thought which came to my head was the only electrical engineer we have in our team was Karthikeyan, and all of us, none of us have any idea about any electrical thing at all. The only electrical thing which we know from mechanical engineering was basic electrical engineering. And it felt very, it felt like a huge task in the start. So yeah, Karthikeyan, I think will probably be able to tell you more about the starting phase of the challenges.
Yeah, so I think what Bharat told is true. So right when we kind of returned, right, we kind of had a discussion that we'll be going electric, but then it was very vague at that point, because see, we had to go to FSC, and then there was going to be your FB in 2021 again, right? Now at some point, so where exactly do you make the transition to electric? I don't think it was clear. Even during the discussion, it wasn't clear. The only thing that came out of the discussion was that we will be looking at an electric powertrain, and we will be looking at transitioning at some point. And then COVID hit. So, and then I think things became clear for us, because I mean it kind of put everything in place. I mean, as much as it
kind of a bittersweet situation.
Yeah, bittersweet. I think that is the word. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you wouldn't want to miss out on the opportunity to go to FSC and experience all of that. But then the team was also kind of thinking on making a transition, but we were not fully sure as to when exactly to make that leap of faith, right? But then I think COVID hitting kind of, yeah, like he mentioned, it was bittersweet. Bitter in the sense that we had to miss out on a few things, but then sweet in the sense that it kind of made things clear for us to kind of make that switch immediately and start working on an electric, design right away. And I think that is where it all started. And I think our car has recently been to Curry also, coming third in the competition. So I think we have come quite some way, but there's still a long way to go. But I think it's been a good journey so far, starting from there. Yeah.